my suitcase? Hi everyone, I'm Aku, host of The Public Diary. It's been a while, guys. It's been 2 weeks. I'm back in Korea to finish my third year in my university, and I'm also doing a job right now. Whoop whoop, go big girl. But quite a few changes. The biggest change is not the fact that I'm not sitting in a production room. It's the fact that I have a cold. I went from like 19 degrees Celsius down to -5, -10 sometimes. So that is the biggest change. But I reassure you, you'll have your guests back very soon. You'll have your entire quality set up very, very soon. This is just on a budget. And I just wanted to quickly come up here and thank you guys. Ever since the beginning of The Public Diary, you've been so motivational, so positive in every guest that comes on the pod, every discussions we have, even from the littlest of reels. It just means the world to me. It helps me stay really motivated on what I produce, and I'm happy to hear critics back and what could be done better. And I just feel like I'm improving as a person as well as my little baby. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. It means a lot. So today I come to you guys with very special and interesting things that have been on my mind. So recently I started working. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you have a very short-term memory loss, but I started a full-time at my uni itself, and I remember coming home. I looked into this mirror. So I'm currently staying in a room, and I look into this mirror. It's like a long length mirror, and I look at myself in the eyes, which I hate doing. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm happy to do it on camera, but I don't know, when I look at myself in the mirror and I try to talk to myself, it feels weird. I used to do that a lot when I was a child, just mimicking interviews or just pretending that I was interviewing some celebrity. And I'd be like so happy about it, or as if I was being interviewed. But nowadays it's just weird, especially of the content that I was telling myself. So I go up to this mirror and in my room, and I look at myself and I'm like, you know what I'm so thankful for? Imagine. And I would not consider myself the type of person to be very grateful constantly. There's that there you're never like always gonna be grateful for that point in time in your life. Maybe when you have huge milestones, you reflect over the work you've done and you go, wow, I did that. But I just go up to this mirror and I start rambling the craziest things. I'm like, I'm so grateful for this, this. And I start from there. I start with the positives. Then I go on to, it's like I subconsciously wanted to reassure myself that I'm mentally stable. And then I go on to things that I need to work on, right? I'm like, oh, this is what I hope I can do better. And I think you can definitely do this. You can definitely move on to this. You can do a little bit more of this to be this person or to be that thing that you want to do or you want to be. And I ended it off with what? I was just like, I'm thankful. That's what I ended it off with. Which is very strange. Do you guys understand the level of strangeness? I was just attracted to the mirror, attracted to saying all of these things to myself. And weirdly, in a very unsettling feeling, that it would usually be considered, very unsettling, it was satisfying. It made me feel so in tune with myself like I've never have been. And I've seen these things of affirmations. I did tell myself affirmations without looking in the mirror. Before you go on stage to perform, for example, you do this like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be all right. I don't know if you guys do that, but subconsciously I do that. This is the first time I've looked into a mirror and I've told myself things. And I'm thinking that this might be the greatest, like I've cracked the code. This might be the greatest solution to dealing with your anxiety and helping trigger your serotonin levels or just your dopamine levels. Because nobody gives you better self-assurance or motivation than yourself. It's it's what I believe is the fundamental formula into getting things done. If you haven't tried it, I recommend, but don't forcefully put yourself into that situation where you have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, you are doing great. I'm proud of you. I'm not even looking at myself right now. I'm looking directly at the camera. But you get what I mean. Try it if you ever have the urge to. But when you do, just sit in that moment. And I sat there for like a good 20 minutes and I did that. I felt like a manic while doing it. But after that, somehow I felt like I was aligning back with my schedules. Like I was doing the things that I needed to. I didn't just come back and sit on my phone for about 10 minutes or like nothing. I just came, talked to the mirror, and then I started going about my evening, which felt very relaxing because I don't have much to do after I work off as well. But you get the point. Mentally, it just cleanses you, or like sort of reassures, or I can't find the right word right now, but I'm sure you'll be able to resonate with that feeling if you've ever tried it, or if you've ever done it, or if you ever happen to do it. Let me know. Come back to this episode and tell me how it goes, because it felt like I do believe in spirituality a little bit, so it did feel like there was this sort of energy that was pulling me towards the mirror and making me say these kinds of things. Don't worry, I'm not being hexed, though I did have a dream this morning that I was being followed by like spirits. Weird. It was a whole other thing. Like, don't even ask. Ciao. That was one of the biggest highlights of my week. Oh my god, can we talk about Bad Bunny's album? If you guys don't know who Bad Bunny is, I'm sure you know the song Mia. Na 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 na, Mia, Mia. Everyone and their mothers have heard it at some point in their life. And that is, Drake collaborated with Bad Bunny. I know, I'm sure you know Drake songs. Kiki, Do You Love Me? Aunties, uncles, I'm telling you, Bad Bunny is the next big thing. Let your child listen to Bad Bunny. Kids, I've been into reggaeton recently, strangely enough, because of my brother. He showed me this one artist called Young Miko, and ever since then I've been off about her and bouncing onto other reggaeton artists, other Latino artists. And can I say that reggaeton is such a beautiful genre? There's so much more within the Latin music genres. So I would love to explore that. I'm doing it. I'm doing my research. I also got Duolingo Spanish. I don't know about my Spanish teacher. He's done the best. Thanks to him, I can understand a few things that they say. I might not understand everything, but I can make sense of it, just like how I do with Korean, actually. I think what helped me wrap my head around languages more easier, especially Korean or even my mother tongue in that instance, is being surrounded with it constantly 24/7. When I was learning, I was not even learning Korean. I just happened to listen to K-pop. I watched tons and tons of interviews growing up of these celebrities, these idols, watched K-dramas, a couple. I'm not a K-drama watcher, by the way. But it pushed me to the point where when I arrived to Korea, boom, I can understand what they're saying. I may not be able to return it just because there's not much of the verbal practice going on. But when you start understanding, just listening to them, I don't know if you're good at mimicking, but I tend to be imitating certain accents or certain pronunciations just because I want to get it right. It's a weird thing, but I enjoy doing that. And same thing going on with Spanish. I'll try lip syncing. Lip syncing is a good start. Trying to pronounce the word efficiently. Yeah, music is a great way to learn languages, and I'm just so happy to exist in the time and era where we get access to all of these kinds of resources to do these kinds of things. Super, super cool. It blows my mind on how people's brains shift to learning new languages, new cultures, and how fast it's going, like how fast this world is developing. It's crazy. But yeah, listen to Bad Bunny's new album, Debí tirar más fotos. So DTMF, everyone knows that, and everyone's putting up like their grandmas, their pets who passed away, or like, you know, just people that they loved, their loved ones who've passed away, who are probably not in this world or they're far and distant from. It's beautiful. This is changing the landscape, and honestly, I never really thought of it in this way, but I think I can grow an appreciation for artists who like much like Bad Bunny. I'm sure there are many artists who are very patriotic. At the same time, they're very interested in reflecting their culture through their work. I think that's something I aspire to do as well, which is why I feel so aligned with this entire album, and it's been on repeat. And by the way, I am a dancer. And you crank up a song, I'll be vibing with it. And yeah, reggaeton is that genre for me. It makes me move, it makes me feel, it makes me think. It's got me thinking, and I love things that just scratch my brain in the right way. So that's what I recommend you guys do this weekend. If you haven't gotten the time to, go dig deep around Bad Bunny's album. He's sold out on his pre-shows in Puerto Rico. I think that was mainly what I was getting into, is that I love it when artists channel their patriotism or their culture, their roots through their work, and it inspires me, especially their identity as well. For me, Young Miko with that entire identity, just mind-blowing, and creativity. Love her music as well. I'm sure my friends who listen to Young Miko will be like, I know why you listen to her. Another thing I've been doing is doom scrolling, and yeah, TikTok is banned in the States. I don't know how much of TikTok I'll be watching anymore, just because I don't know, I was much in tune with America Talk. But yeah, it's weird. I think because I have all this free time, it tends to settle in my head that I have the free will to do anything, and I just sit on my phone and doom scroll, because no one's really there to be like, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Also mainly because it's winter right now, and for someone who enjoys socializing so much with other people, you can ask my friends, you can ask people who go to uni with me, they'll agree. I'm usually the one hitting up their line and being like, you want to go to Emor? You want to do that? You want to do that? They're like, why do you call me? I wish you didn't call me, but I'm that type of person that just loves company. And I'm sure if I'm hitting you up, you're special, because I don't like just messing with anyone. It's terrible, because doom scrolling is making me want to stay more inside of the house, or like inside the four corners of my room, and not do much. Just sit on my bed and it's interesting, not only because I love socializing. It's also interesting because there is this new idea that's going around. It's this simple idea that you have the poor status is leaning towards people who doom scroll, who are chronically online 24/7. Meanwhile, the ones who are luxurious or more refined humans, which is a very odd thing to say, but you get what I mean. People who are of quality would be people who don't spend as much time online, which is interesting. You use a lot of phone, you use a lot of laptop, you are online 24/7, you are on the lower side of the social status. If you don't, and if you're constantly working on progressing yourself, you're higher. Great. I mean, we're getting out of our phones, but there's also that entire discussion that I'd like to have. How else do you make money in this economy if you're not online? Does it make sense? Because for my interviews that I've been having, you guys do understand that there's a reoccurrence of all these influencers, or at least entertainment media personalities. There is no way we're getting through this economy without being online, even if you are a sales office sitting on a desk job. Your work depends on how much is going on online. So it's very strange for people to say that the whole industries are just, the way of living is changing. Because I think what we're trying to really bring in over here is mindfulness and the ability to stay humane while being online or not. That's a whole Gen Alpha thing, in my personal opinion. Just like how millennials had this, they have their own language, they have their own traits, right? I think Gen Z just, if we're not online, it feels weird, you know? Like, it's not our trait to not be online. We are gonna be online even if we deactivate accounts every 5 months, every year or something. But I think it's more of a Gen Alpha thing than a Gen Z. I wouldn't really understand abandoning social media because it's just embedded into our life at this point. I know it sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. You probably would have expected me to be against this thing. But listen, I've grown up online. I've grown up with the internet. So for me, it feels weird. I wouldn't imagine not being online. But I guess that's what our kids are going to do, right? Like the generations after us, like the beta generations, they're going to think that not being online is cool. Privacy is the new cool. Ew. Listen, if I ever make private accounts, you're not gonna see anything that I don't post on my public account. I'm more awkward if I have a private account than if I have a public account. I love throwing stuff at my friends and people and families. I could care less what you think. It also depends on personality, I believe, because some people like to make their accounts private. Completely your thing. But for me, I could care less what you think. And if you don't like me, you're free to unfollow me. Simple, done, and dusted. Very simple formula. But I'd feel very strange for people to be like, oh, this is, privacy is the next big thing. Like, it's so cool to be private. It's not. Don't do it just because it's a trend. Do it because you actually want to do it. It's your core values, your core morals. Don't do it because it's a trend. Gosh, I've been seeing all these 2006 and I'm like, they should go and get a life. Guys, don't hate on me, but I think you guys are very, very much of like the trend followers. Just saying. I think growing up as an only child and having so much time left on my hands, whenever my mom wasn't around or my family wasn't around, I would be alone at home, right? And it got me thinking how important my relationship with myself was growing up. There's that entire stigmatism of, only children, kids don't really know how to share or don't really know how to deal with certain situations. Yeah, well, what else do you expect? We're not gonna immediately know. That's where you have to step in. I have a beef going on, but if your friend is an only child, and you have siblings, you'd be able to recognize certain things. But I do think that only children do have this certain relationship with themselves, with their characters, and it's quite individualistic. If you ask their parents, if you ask my mom, you'll know that I'm quite not only independent, but in the sense of my relationship with myself is so important. She'll be able to pinpoint exactly how I express myself, what words I use. It's such an essential part of being an only child, I guess. Just because you're constantly alone and it leaves you to feel like, I don't know if this serves for other kids, but for me personally, I think eventually I understood that there is no better relationship, because everything around you, all the people around you, all the situations reoccurring in your life 24/7 around you are not controllable. The only thing you can control is yourself. So it's so important for you to understand yourself before you react upon a situation. It's so important for you to give yourself that time and space to think over what you need to do in that moment, to think the consequences, and to think if you'd be happy or if you'd be okay with whatever decision you're making. And I think for only children, that tends to be the very big thing. Or even like, I think the eldest would be able to resonate with this. Or maybe you know what? You get what I mean, right? But I see this mostly reoccurring for like only children. So it's a big thing. Personally, for me, I find it more like my safety net, in a very good way, in the sense of it's helped me build a connection with myself where I can tap out of situations I don't want to be in. Whereas I'm pretty sure there is that, in families with dynamics of siblings, there is that tendency to be very considerate or fend for yourself in certain situations. With only children, it's kind of like, if I want to be in it, I'll do it. If I don't want to be in it, I always have to say to get out of it also. It doesn't bother. But if you're someone who is constantly thinking about other people around you and how they would react to your reaction, goodbye. And that's me. So sometimes I can be a very gone case, but I'm trying to work on that. I think that is an excellent trait to grow and build up on as you start getting older as an only child. It's one of the best traits you can get. One of the last things I wanted to discuss, I recently started journaling, and it's such a cute book. I don't want to show you guys, but it's a cute book. I'll show it to you at the end of the year. So you've got to stay in tuned with the Public Diary till the end of the year and years to come. But it's my first time, I think, journaling so religiously. I never journaled every single day. My aim every day is to write a whole page. And sometimes I don't end up making it happen. But thankfully, it's not gone like up to a week where I didn't write a page. Gone up to a week where I did not write the entries for each day. So what I do is I essentially brain rot on these pages, and it helps me just dump everything that's inside my head. And if I don't get to fit it in, it just forces me to write more in a refined manner for the next few entries. So it helps me get my practice in, just because I feel like after getting out of high school and constantly writing your essays on your laptop, you're not going to be the best writer in the universe. So get a pen, get a book, and get to writing. And I think Blog Aku is going to make a comeback. If you guys are interested in, reading stuff that I have to write and rant about, you're more than welcome to do that and check that out. But I think getting a journal is so beautiful just because you get to vomit every thought out, and you don't have to be perfect at what you aim to do. I know if you go on to TikTok right now, I don't know if you have TikTok in the States anymore, but if you ever search up for journal diary entries and you're wondering where to begin, my first recommendation, as someone who is constantly overthinking, over-processing, over-stimulated by everything around them, is to just write anything that's in your head in that moment or you wanted to write about throughout the day. Write about it. It could be about your emotion from 5 weeks before. You can still write about it. You're valid. Your existence is valid, and your thoughts are valid on this diary, because guess what? It's yours. And if you want to lay down rules, you're more than welcome to do that. I've seen people write only 3 things that they've been grateful for that day, 3 things that they'd like to improve, and 3 things that were funny that day, or something like that. And I think it was Anya Taylor-Joy that said that in an interview. But personally, for me, if I brain rot, if I vomit my words, and if I just let myself speak my truth, that is my therapy. So we've got a couple of questions. First one is, do a makeup tutorial. So basic. I will just go over with foundation. I'd love to do it. I'll probably do a quick reel of it if you're asking for it, but it just goes with foundation. I just put on a pencil liner and mascara, and blush is my key thing. Blush and contour, and just a glossy full lip. I love a full lip, but I'm planning on editing a bit because it's the winter and my skin does great during winter, so I'd love to try some other sorts of styles. The other question is, how does it feel flying back to Korea after spending so many months in Dubai? Definitely, I'd have to say the cold is one of the downsides of being in Korea, but I love being back here. Just the fact that some of my close friends from uni are not here anymore, they're back in the States or they're just traveling around, is a little bit sad. But I do have some friends, who will be returning, who will be making their comeback and hopefully making a feature on the pod. And yeah, I think it's just amazing that I study in a uni like mine, because every semester we have study abroads and it's so fun making friends. Also, how is it living in South Korea? Pros and cons. Pros, oh my god, such a convenient country. People are friendly, or at least to say respectful. Everyone minds their own business, which I love. Cons, I think if you don't know the language to some certain extent, like if you want to order deliveries and stuff, it's gonna be a bit troublesome. That's at least what I'm going through right now. I do recognize that there is still some sort of racism hanging on. Honestly, where is it not when there's such a when it's such a homogenous country? But personally, I have not received it. That's one thing. Well, other than that, there are couples everywhere. Everywhere. God, it's... Ugh. Please. Celibacy. Practice celibacy. How did you start the public diary? I started it because, I always loved the idea of speaking in front of the camera, or like just interviewing my friends, or interviewing people, or talking, like just this was the epitome of my existence. So I figured, you know what, YouTube videos are so long, they're a lot more hard work than podcasts, and I prefer just talking about certain topics right in front of the camera than editing them, memeing them out, or like making them attractive enough for people to watch. And also, people don't have that attention span anymore these days, so the podcast is kind of something you play on the side, and I'm sure people could learn so much more from it, and it just gave me the room for getting on people, and people who I love and I'm inspired from, or I admire, to share their stories with people, and it gives me that room also to share my own personal stories, and you guys too. So I love that we're having this interaction. I hope you guys can send in more questions soon. The very last question for today is future plans after graduating. Very nice one. I don't have a few in particular. I'd love to secure a job within these few years, but we'll see where life takes us. As you know, I love keeping things interesting, and I love keeping you guys on your toes. Hopefully we can go somewhere with the public diary. That's what I'm aiming, and that's what I'd love to do. I'd love to continue this, just because I've recognized the fact that it's so much more of a blessing to be working on your own things than just only supporting others. And it's also because I think I started out on a lot of hands-on experiences a lot earlier in my life. My mom has always been very encouraging of working to gain experiences, working to gain skills, working to gain that sort of knowledge to help you in your line, which is essentially the thing that people do after they graduate. I'd love to continue that, but I don't see myself, working a 9 to 5, maybe for a few years, maybe a year. I don't know, or less. You know I'm not that kind of a person. So the Met Gala, call me to do your next interview. Let me do it. All right, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so sorry for the shitty ass quality, but at least you have an amazing host who's so pretty and gorgeous, and you guys too. You're absolute beautiful souls for joining this episode. I'll see you on the next one. See you next week. I love you so much. Bye.